traveling in a local train. Then I happened to see a lady with a newspaper called Mumbai Mirror. And at that point in time, I just had this thought after reading, after going to the city, that in many ways, as much as you can reflect upon you, which this city allows you, I don't think any other city does. Maybe it could be the commute time, or maybe that was the a never-ending train ride for me. Although it's considered fast, but it makes you think. That to me is Mumbai, and every city has their own character, but somehow Mumbai stands out for that reason.
Yeah, I also think that see, you can be invisible in the city.
Yes,
In the sense,
absolutely.
at the same time, you are with people.
Yes.
So there's a good. I mean, it's a nice place.
It's interesting, because you say this, sometimes you are in a crowd and you can be very lonely, and you're sitting alone, and yet you can be with many.
Look for the silver lining whenever a cloud appears in the blue.
How do you maintain your personal well-being, your mental health, because as I asked you earlier, sometimes stories can deeply shake you or move you, and you are doing this almost always. How do you maintain it? Or for that matter, this is also something which I would like you to share for other artists, any artists, and especially photographers, because I know it can, when I tell stories, when I share stories, I know I have a process where sometimes I do have a breakdown, not mentally, but I break down the story, and it affects me, and I kind of, because I tell all kinds of stories, so how do you do that? How do you maintain that well-being?
Okay, so one thing about advertising is it's a job where actually, unfortunately, you are in a cubicle, or you are in
Yes.
an office, and it's a very close circle, and you
And
do.
that's literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, literally and metaphorically. It's a very out of it's sadly, it's a out of touch uh, kind of place
Hmm.
because of practical reasons.
Right.
Especially now because of social media and stuff like that. Because the amount of content that is created is much more. I mean, it's become content.
Right.
Earlier it used to be advertising. You do a few ads, no, but most of the stuff that you do are actually ads are actually in content format. So you spend a lot of time with a group of people or within a circle, and you're always working on stuff without being as mindful as possible. I mean, if I want insights, I get it from people who are you have teams dedicated to that who will do the research and stuff like that, who will give you the insights and stuff like that, and you work on that. Of course, ideas come from interactions with the outside world. So photography, on the other hand, at least mine, is my therapy, or it's my thing,
That's
because
a very interesting
yeah,
perspective.
it's a good break from that, and I don't see it as work, and it also means that since I shoot streets, I walk a lot, and there's nothing more therapeutic than
That
walking.
is such a
Walking.
brilliant response. I mean,
So,
true.
so that is
Um, walk me through some of your favorite moments. Um, Not just capturing pictures, um, but reactions from people who've seen those pictures or who've read through those stories. Walk me through some of your favorite moments.
okay. So there are no individual places, because
Yeah.
most of the things there's a pattern to it, or I can give a broader thing in the sense. The most fascinating thing about having a camera or a hobby, or something like this, is the kind of people you meet.
Right.
Okay, so nothing can replace that. In the sense, whatever that form of art, you find a kind of tribe who might be not even your type.
Yeah.
Like for example, because I shoot cities, a lot of people that I meet are other people who have a relationship with the city. Like for example, an urban planner,
Ah.
or a or an architect, or even filmmakers, cinematographers, who are related but not from my field, and readers, writers, artists, people whom I would not have met if I was in advertising.
True. True.
So that has been the most interesting things, and also like after, especially after COVID, I've made it a uh, thing to meet more people.
I was about to come to that. COVID, once in a generation, um, and I have this argument with my friends of my generation about the present generation, the Gen Z, and I think I empathize with them a lot purely from the fact that we all love to bunk classes in colleges, but being forced to do so is a very different. So they have been through, life-changing experience. Uh, you have been through a life-changing experience. Some of us have even questioned who we are and what we have been doing. Did that affect the way you told the stories post-COVID?
I would say, like I mentioned, it hasn't affected. S- yeah, now that you talk about it, I thought it didn't affect. Now that you say, it got me thinking. One thing that I started shooting is, which I never used to do earlier,
Mm.
was shoot portraits of people. In the sense, I was more a street photographer. I used to keep it broad, and I rarely shot pictures other than my family. Of like, if I meet you, I take a portrait of you, for example, just like that. In fact,
Yeah.
I took one just before we started off.
I had no clue that you did that.
Yeah, I took the camera and I shot a picture of you. In fact, I shot you with this camera. It's right
Because
here.
that is how my uh, one-man army, my associate producer Samyak Kamble, does with me. Because he knows that if he forces me to take a picture, I will make faces which will tell multiple stories. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
please.
So what I've this, I think, has been, from a photography point of view or from a person point of view, it has changed, is that I have started taking pictures of people I meet.
Huh.
In general, like if I go to a party, I'm meeting old friends, a college reunion, for example, I take as much photographs of people, at least good pictures, portraits, each of which, out of which I get at least one which can be actually printed as a nice, I mean, if required, into a nice picture of a person, and which I never used to do before that. Because I think what I realized was that all the photographs, like people click millions of photographs of streets, of themselves, and everything. And say after 10 years or 20 years, the only photographs that that remain are of people that you clicked from some time back, is what I feel survived. Even if you look at archives of old people who do archives, it's always, they preserve the photographs of the people, the families and stuff, and you are able to tell their stories.
Yes.
And there's a reason why we all shoot pictures, and it's to freeze that thing of that moment and
Yes.
stuff of that person. And people die, and people move on. People, I mean, relationships change, but the photograph remains. So I don't know, maybe playing it came up just because you asked this question. What has changed is I have started taking pictures of people, and might be this is the reason that I'm doing this. And now I think I have a bank of the people I have interacted with, which I think is my reaction to COVID.
Have you had some kind of rituals before you um, begin to tell the story? Any specific rituals you have?
Only walking. I look at walking as a ritual, in the sense,
Ah.
it's exercise. It's also preparing me for that. Like, for example, if I'm coming here, I get down. Another thing, I take public transport because I get to see people.
Yes.
And then you take public transport means that you walk,
Yes.
compared to this one. You tend to walk a little more.
Huh.
So that is my ritual. Walking is the ritual that prepares me for shooting pictures. It's part of the process as well as a preparation.
Um, is there? I know the art behind a photograph. Is there a science behind it?
Is there a science? Uh, yeah, there are formulas, and and stuff. Like for example, which I think is more to do with the craft of making a good picture.
Okay.
In the-
Without sounding too technical, can you share some aspects of it?
Okay. So first of all, I'm not a very technical photographer,
Which is fine.
but it comes automatically. So
Right.
like for example, light, which is the most important thing about it. So so uh, for the art to come across, the craft should be there.
Yes.
So that craft comes mostly from science or practice. So there are rules of light which you can bend.
Right.
There are and I think what is different is or a new science that has emerged is of sharing of images, because in the digital age it is not just the science of taking a good picture, it's also a lot of which is actually automated now. In the sense now, for example, if you have noticed, uh, this could count as science. You will see, even me, we shoot a lot of sky pictures. Like when there's a weather change, you see a lot of weather pictures on your Instagram feed.
Yes. Yes.
So what is the reason for that? The reason for that is AI. Because you take any of our phones now and you take a picture of the sky, it is automatically enhanced. And you get dramatic skies. Your
Right.
sunset, your sunrise, and everything is
Yes.
dramatic.
Yes.
And which is why people share it.
Ha.
And that's a picture that you get likes. So people share a lot more of that. They take selfies, but with a sign in the back. Now that is where AI comes in. All your photographs are enhanced.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot is spoken about your image, your photograph being enhanced, but there are also other things that are enhanced by not the science, but science that you are not even aware of.
So there is this debate, right, Gopal, about technology coming in, especially AI, and the debates are AI will take away job or AI will do this. In any and every form, AI is there, uh, especially generative AI, chat GPTs of the world helping you write. So there are two schools of thoughts. One say that it's going to take away creative process. The other school of thought is it'll probably help you. It's a tool to
Yeah.
probably set you thinking. Um, I think many people who have been very shy of taking photographs because they are not confident enough. They feel that maybe I will not come across right. An AI form of AI kind of makes you feel, you know what? It can help me look good, and you look good, you feel good. Um, your thoughts around technology, especially artificial intelligence, augmented intelligence, um, good thing or
I see. It depends on this.
to me it's disruptive.
I mean, all technology they will disrupt.
Yes.
Because that is how human progresses.
Good disruption or a bad disruption?
No, I'm see. According to me, I am a believer that all distractions are good.
Ah.
My problem is with the people who use that for like for example, I like the internet.
Ah.
Okay, internet has made everything democratized and stuff like that. And then you have big tech. Okay, a few players. I mean, most players in that who come and use it just for profit maximization. And once they get big, they use it to stifle others, to make money for the shareholders, whatever others say. How they use it, how a few individuals, and it is always a few, and the system that they create to use the technology to trouble others is where the problem lies, rather than in the technology itself. Because technology will keep, AI will keep coming, it will be keep improving. All those things will come, and I would rather follow see what the researchers and scientists and technologists or the PhDs are doing, and how they can make it a better world, rather and flagging people who use it destructively, and ensuring that they do not use it. To get power in their hands to oppress others. So that is where we should be mindful about how technology is used, and it's about humans and it's not about AI.
For me, community matters a lot because we all. It's important. Any form of art, anything we do, community involvement is very important. Even if you're working in a silo, it still impacts a lot of people, knowingly or unknowingly. Photography is a very powerful form of art. How do you think we can use photographs or the form of storytelling through photograph? How can you give back?
So I believe that on internet, every photograph that you share
Ah,
is giving back. Why? It you don't have to give back in money. You do not have to give back in labor. You do not have to give back in tangible forms. There is a super tangible thing which is knowledge.
okay.
So, like I mentioned earlier, in the sense you had books.
Is activism also a form of giving back?
That is activism comes in later. I am talking about more from you and me. In the case of where we are sharing knowledge. Why are you doing and this podcast? Because you are learning. Okay.
That's the first thing.
Yeah, you're learning and you're talking and you're entertaining. Now, why is it online? Because you're sharing that knowledge.
Yes.
Now, somebody is going to listen to it and it is going to help them form ideas or action. That is all that photography does. And it's a tool. Activists use it in a different way. But more people are using it to tell stories of everyday things which are relevant to their audience.
Right.
Like I am posting pictures of myself, and there is always a grandmother or a mother who's liking it.
Yes.
In the sense, it's such a meaningful connection
Yes.
that is there because they feel like they are there. Like half the grandparents now see their children on hourly basis every day because of technology and photographs.
That's such a beautiful way to respond to it because it doesn't always have to be just social causes.
Exactly.
It's just you take a picture, it's a way of giving back.
Yeah.
I just love that.
But activists, you take it to a different level. So, and activists come, it is, I mean, what is a social cause? It all depends on your point of view. I mean, everything is a social cause.
My latest guest, the episode is coming out with Nitisha Agarwal. What she does with the Smokeless Cook Stuff Foundation, right? You are a part of the initiative. You click pictures. That is a social cause, but even without you being involved, if you have gone to Palghar and clicked pictures, it's also a way of giving back and sharing how these women are going through the transformation, correct?
Yeah, I don't look at it that as giving back because I do it, I get a lot of pleasure from doing that.
No,
job.
you get a pleasure, but it's also a way of sharing that knowledge, as you said.
No, that is not for us to decide. That is for the community there to decide.
Okay.
Whether we are giving back, because I mean, if it is useful for them, then it is giving back, and that we can't judge immediately. We can only judge after the smokeless cook stove has influenced their life. But the interaction has been very, very rewarding from my point of view,
Yeah.
because I got to see a place I never would have known. It gave me a completely different view of how we use fuels and the amount of labor that goes into it for women, and how that project helps women reduce the kind of labor. And if it reduces some labor for them, that would be counted as giving back. But that is a project, not me.
Capturing that story,
Yeah, and sharing that story.
yes,
Now that might have
a giving back
Yeah.
component to it, right?
there is a giving back, but it is purely on a knowledge level. There is no monetary transactional level to it.
Okay, let's get to Gopal. There are a few alter egos: Mumbaipaused, Slogan Murugan. I've heard of Shotgun Murugan. Slogan Murugan is an interesting title. Talk me through Mumbaipaused and what has been the best part of Mumbaipaused. By the way, I'm a huge fan of Mumbaipaused, and again, art is interpreted by people differently. Maybe how I interpret your pictures are very different from how you interpret them. How did Mumbaipaused come into being, and what is the connection between Mumbaipaused and Slogan Murugan?
Okay. Slogan Murugan is, you can look at it as my advertising author.
The author, yes.
Because slogan.
Yes.
Yeah. So that name and a blog in those days I mean, 20 years back, 24 years back, when blogging started.
Started.
When the initial days. So that was purely advertising because I didn't have a camera then. So I used to only write, and then I used to do advertising. So Slogan Murugan actually, because I come from the old internet where people never reveal their real names.
Yeah.
Because you could have fancy names online,
Yes.
and you could be whoever you wanted.
It's like those eras which I've grown up reading where the authors never had their original name being
Yeah.
put out there.
Yeah, I
So-
mean that was how internet was.
Pen names.
Yeah, you always had a alter ego on
Yes.
the internet. So
Yes.
Slogan Murugan is from that area,
Yeah.
from those days. In fact, I had many before that. Slogan
Yes.
Murugan came only 20 years back. Before that, when in the 90s, when internet first came in, so I used to go by the name of the Bangalore Torpedo because I was in Bangalore then. So the Bangalore Torpedo is a kind of device. If you've seen Saving Private Ryan, there's a dialogue that says, "Bring in the Bangalores."
Yes.
So that's the Bangalore Torpedo, which is a thing. So Bangalore Torpedo was invented in Bangalore, and I had my first internet thing. This was in '98 or '99, I think around that time. Was I had a spoof magazine called the Bangalore Torpedo, which was my handle, and my all my chat room and bulletin boards had the Bangalore Torpedo. So then I moved to Bombay in 2000, and that because I was in a different city, that died out, and it became Slogan Murugan because I was immersed in advertising.
Advertising.
Then in 2005, I moved back to Bangalore for personal reasons, and I was working in Bangalore for about 3-4 years, which was when I started shooting pictures. And there I had another avatar called Which Main What Cross, which was a blog. So
Okay.
because roads in Bangalore have main roads and cross roads, so I used to shoot a picture of Bangalore streets every day, and the shooting of streets happened accidentally. So I used to shoot everything, and then I realized that I was carrying my camera. I was taking my camera to work every day, and I was shooting pictures. And after a month, I had all pictures of streets. So which is why Which Main What Cross came. So that I used to tell, okay, today's 15th cross Malleshwaram, today's 8th Main Jayanagar, for example, just giving.
Metaphorically,
Yeah.
also it defines many phases of our lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I did Which Main What Cross that's where my photography journey started, which became very, popular in the blogging circle at that point of time because nobody was shooting streets of Bangalore like that at that point of time. And a lot of local journalists and people who followed me, especially from the local press, Kannada,
Right.
because it related to them. Because I was shooting that part of Bangalore, which is not the usual tech Bangalore or the city market Bangalore, or Russell market, which everybody was shooting. So then in 2009, I moved back to Bombay because of my job, and then this habit continued. So when I came to Mumbai in 2009, I started Mumbaipaused because it's a city that's always moving fast. So I wanted to freeze with pictures, and I started walking the streets of Bombay, and it's been years now. I still continue to do
I
it.
think that's the only way you can pause this city. And what my personal experience of this city has been, I've been here for the last 5 years, and I was here earlier for a year and a half. I think the acceptance of who we are, somehow amongst all the cities I've lived, I have had a greater understanding of who I am in this city. Because while it's a very fast moving city and it moves at its own pace, it also allows you to define your own pace. I think to me, that's what Mumbai is all about.
If you are working and if you are working class, not always. In the sense, what happens is because you see in Bombay, people come to work. Okay, now if you are at a certain stage of life, at where you are supposed to work 12-14 hours a day and commuting for another 4 hours, like you're living, I live in Navi Mumbai, and if my office is in Nariman Point, so my commute is like huge because I can only afford to live far away.
Yeah.
I'm just telling. So then you might not have that much time to define, but it gives you a lot of freedom. You're right. Even with all that, compared to
Exactly.
another city, it gives you a
Yes,
lot more
a
freedom.
lot, a
Because
lot.
even I work, used to work hours, but it still gives me time to do what I do.
And this came to me, you know why? Because once, many moons back, I was traveling in a local train. And again, when I say many, many moons back, 2019, the one time I've gotten to a local train, I happened to see a lady with a newspaper called Mumbai Mirror, right? And at that point in time, I just had this thought after reading, after going to the city, that in many ways, as much as you can self-reflect upon you, which this city allows you, I don't think any other city does. Maybe it could be the commute time, or maybe that was a never-ending train ride for me. Although it's considered fast, but it makes you think. That to me is Mumbai, and every city has their own character, but somehow Mumbai stands out for that reason.
Yeah, I also think that, see, you can be invisible in the city.
Yes,
In the sense,
absolutely.
at the same time, you are with people.
Yes, when we are talking about the different alter egos of Gopal, let's talk about Gopal's growing up childhood memories a little bit, and how it shaped to be who you are. And I know, and also a little bit about what and how you see yourself moving forward.
Okay. So I'm from Bangalore.
Hmm.
So I grew up through most of 70s, 80s, and 90s in Bangalore.
Hmm.
So that's about almost 2 decades, more than 2 decades in Bangalore.
Hmm.
So that is where I am from.
Yeah.
And actually not exactly in the center of Bangalore. It was outside.
Hmm.
My father used to work for a public sector company.
Yes.
So they had a colony and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Bangalore was a city in those days.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, it's
It's a concrete jungle.
yeah,
Let's be
so I had a very beautiful childhood.
very.
I think perfect.
Did living in a colony, like my dad used to work for HPCL, so you used to have those HPCL colonies.
Correct, exactly. Similar one. Yeah.
And many stories come out of that.
Yeah.
Right. Anything which fascinated you growing up?
Yeah, actually, it was it was actually, now when you look back at it, that was a very magical age compared to today, because so this place where my father worked was Bharat Electronics Limited. Okay, which is a defense thing, and it didn't have gates. The community didn't have gates, so it was connected to the rest of the city, the villages that were around, and the city. You had the bus, so it was not a gated community, which made a huge difference, because you are in touch with the surrounding things. Like you could cycle all the way to Yelahanka or Bangalore city and come back as kids, and nobody minded. So you knew you are part of the city and not. But within the community, what used to happen was you had people from all over India, and you had a theater where movies from all languages played. You had, like for example, you will have a yearly a drama competition where each state had its own association, like a Marathi one. You had a Tamil Mandram, you had a Telugu one, you had a Kannada Sahitya Kuta, which is Kannada, you had Bengali, you had Punjabi, and they all come and put plays, and they have a competition. And we used to sit through all of them, even though you don't understand the language. We used to sit through all language movies, even though we couldn't understand a thing, no subtitles.
But that's the thing about art, right? It actually it is language agnostic in many ways.
Yeah, it's language. I mean, and it's all people. So
Yes.
you used to sit and everybody used to interact, and you used to have actors who used to act in 2-3 different languages, because there are not enough people in saying certain thing. So you used to. I mean, it was such a different world. Like if I had a camera and if I had shot it all, it would have been fantastic. I mean, it's a lost world.
Yeah.
I mean, you had things like that in everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not unique to that place. Like, for example, if you grew up in, say, Bombay of that era, you used to have your, like in Matunga, you had your Karnataka Sangha, you had several Marathi organizations. They all used to come together, they used to interact with each other. Like, you have a Girish Karnad staying there. He was also involved in, say, Hindi or Marathi, and like he made Hindi movies.
Yes.
He acted in he's acted in Telugu movies. I mean, that was the kind of world that had, I mean, it still does. I mean, it still happens today too, in the sense, like you see South Indian movies and Marathi movies, they all pollinate each other. I mean, they are all actors. So yeah, all those things happen. But at that time, it was possible even for middle class and even working class people to actually have a rich, vibrant cultural life, which was where interactions were more compared to today. And might be because distances were less. You used to have close-knit communities. It had its own problems, but which like class and like if it was a gated community. But all that is, but now it has moved to a different sphere, which is online. The interactions. That's the difference. But I enjoyed what I had. It was great fun.
Did it help you in who you have become?
Yeah, definitely. And seeing the world, in the sense of my photography, because I can see the world through languages. I can see the world through differences. I can see the world through different classes, which I think Bangalore helped. And books. We had lots of libraries. Like all of these associations and school. I used to have. I could take books from 4 or 5 different libraries, or go and sit and read in 4 or 5 different libraries, which made a huge difference.
All of us have bucket lists, and I want to understand as an artist and as a person, what have you completed, or what have you ticked off, and what is yet to be ticked off?
Okay. Well, when I was growing up in Bangalore, just ticking off is I wanted to live a place close to the sea, and even though I love Bangalore a lot, and where there's monsoon, a strong monsoon. So I didn't plan it that way, but I ended up in Bombay, which has the sea, and it has monsoon. Really good monsoon, probably the best in the world,
Yeah.
according to me. But so that's ticked off the bucket list. Then to be done, I would love to travel, but I'm too lazy to travel. So
You will have to explain that.
I would like to go to different cities and stay for a long time, and say any place, like say go to London and shoot, or even a small a place like Nepal, for example, and stay for a few days and shoot. But it's not. First, no money. I don't have enough money to do that, and then I'm too lazy to save money, and I mean, takes effort to actually do that. So I think traveling more and visiting more places is something that I would like to do. And I mean, I don't mean traveling to a place as a tourist. I mean going there and shooting a city like how I shoot Mumbai or Bangalore. Right now I shoot mostly Mumbai and Bangalore. No other. I mean, so I would like to spend some time in some place and shoot that place to great detail.
I think our conversation would be incomplete without discussing books and movies, because that's how we
We
first
met,
connected. And I know that you read different kinds of books. Um, I also know that you love to write. Uh, my question to you is that as an artist, whether they, especially who want to take up photography, um, how important it is to enjoy and appreciate other art forms, because I think in many ways that helps in enhancing your skills and your experiences.
So, contrary to what some people believe, it is you are a sum total of all your influences.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you have to learn from somewhere. That is how humans are.
Just to slide this in, I always say in my podcast, we are a sum total of all our experiences.
Okay.
I'm just a little branding out there.
Okay, might be I listen to your podcast. So you have all your influences. Like you don't become an artist overnight. Very few people are like, even if you're a Picasso, you have to get influenced by something.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I mean, even the child prodigies, you have an innate thing for music or art or something. You might have that, but it is how you built on it, how you imbibed influences and observe the world, the observation part, which is there. So for photography, especially, like it's all observation. End of the day, there is nothing more to it,
Right.
and clicking at the right moment. All the rest is craft. Observation, all the thing is craft. But it is observation that will make this one, and other art, and like for example, photography is just paintings, right? I
Yes.
mean, it's evolved from paintings as an art form. It is also
It's one big canvas. The world is one big
Yeah,
canvas, right?
and all the rules that we follow in say the basic rule of thirds, for example, in photography, is something that is borrowed from what you call from painting. Then when you do videos, it's moving pictures.
Right.
Then you add music to it and stuff like that. So everything is related to each other. And if you have noticed, you take a musician for example, if they play one instrument, then it's easy for them to do other instruments. And you'll notice that almost all artists in any field have interest in other. This one, like nothing is an island like that. There's nothing like one single person. It is all influenced by different things. So the more influences, the better. But don't get too influenced by too many things and confuse yourself. That's the because there's so much of it out there. So you take in what is relevant and use what is relevant.
Any recent books or movies that you've seen which has which is probably helping you define your next story?
Uh, Nothing that is. I don't know whether it will influence my future projects because how the street photography usually works is it's you don't come up with stories. Okay, so like for example, if I'm walking down the street, all the stories are thrown by the streets because you observed it and it develops from there. So it never like you can have this at the back of your mind and you can connect the dots.
Yes.
But you can, but it is rare that what you you see. Okay, I saw this thing and now I'm going to shoot that because it's all serendipity. In the sense, it's very difficult to plan. You can plan. Like for example, I have read a I have read a book on say funerals, like Meenakshi Devan's book about funerals and last rites, which I read. And after that, recently I had gone to a crematorium for a cremation. But I started noticing the stuff that happened, and I took a few pictures of that, which was influenced by the book.
So there is no specific book you would say which actually helped you. It's totally dependent on where you are and what you are doing.
There are
at
too
that
many
moment.
influences that one book, but I have the other way. Like for example, most of the thing, like because just like your podcast, for me, photography is where I learn things. So, like for example, I have been shooting this cook stove, right? So the cook stove is about the story is what people say is about the cook stove, but
For me, it's about women empowerment.
yeah. So for me, woman empowerment. More than women empowerment, my takeaway from that entire thing was how humans use fuel. Okay, so
That's fantastic. Yes, that's true.
yeah, because I spent more time there.
Yes.
Yeah, not because of any other reason, but because I spent more time there, I realized that it is all about fuel. And then I picked up a book called Fuel and Civilization. I don't remember the author's name. It's a Eastern European sounding American name, but
Eastern European sounding American
I
name.
mean,
Okay.
okay. So, I mean, they have this idea of making it a little Americanized, like that. So fuel and civilization, and he sees the entire world through energy, like joules. Like for example, he sees amount of like if I lift this, what is the energy taken? So everything is a civilization, human civilization, seen from a point of view of energy. I picked up that book because of this project. So
Okay.
I started reading that. So which helped me understand this.
Now that you've said Eastern European sounding American, how is it different when it comes to photograph and storytelling through photographs in the Western world, especially Europe, US, than the Eastern world? Is it a different? Is it in the process or in the stories they tell, or is it because they live in a different world, so the stories are very different? But at the end of the day, the core of it is human experiences, right? So,
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah, what you said is the human experiences, depending on the place, is what defines what photographs are. But if you look at photography as a science and art, it is a Western. It was invented in the West,
Okay,
and
but the stories which resonates in our part of the world, are our stories, not the Western stories.
Yeah. So we use that as a tool to
Right.
tell our stories.
Huh.
Okay, so like for example, I have this entire series and also a zine, which is subcontinental colors. It's about that.
Yeah.
It's not called that. It's just a numbered thing. But subcontinental colors is the way we see colors.
Okay.
Okay, the way we use colors. See, now what has happened? The colors that we use are all chemical dyes and colors. So the clothes that we wear, all this is chemical. Okay, it's not local dye that is grown, not the ochre from the earth from here
Right.
that is used and stuff like that. Similarly, for photography and for other things, are the way a lot of things have become standardized
Huh.
because of economics and technology and stuff like that. So in that book, what I have done is I had gone to Pandharpur, where the Wari happens. So I went there for the Wari to shoot pictures, and I spent a few days there. And when I was shooting, so in the Wari, what happens? All the people who come are usually from the Deccan, and they are all mostly related to the farming industry, and they all have they all wear basic cotton saris and clothes and very very basic clothes, usually wearing only one or two pairs of clothes which they are carrying, and the color palette of that entire place is very different from Bombay. It's completely different. So similarly, the color is there. So what I was trying to do over there, or what many photographers have talked about it, Indian photographers have been talking about it from, like you have this Raghuveer Singh, or and he used to take pictures of India. I think I hope I got the name right. So in the 70s and 80s, they used to shoot Indian pictures. So you have this very typical Indian colors and stuff like that. Some of which is romanticized also. A good example of Indian sensibilities is Satyajit Ray's, the way he shoots pictures.
Yes.
So he has a very definite thing which is very Indian.
In fact, from Pather Pachali till his last movie Agantuk, I hope that's the last film he did. I find his storytelling to be, it's almost like you're watching, you're observing a painting of human experiences.
Yeah. So now that is, you could, it is Western. He has Western sensibilities.
Absolutely.
But his Indian style of storytelling
Yeah.
is very, very, like it comes from Tagore, and it's that, I mean, there are lots of he has influences
Absolutely.
which bring it all alive. So in photography, is there an Indian style of photography and doing the thing? Because
Do you really need an
Yeah.
Indian style at all? I mean,
because there is an Indian style of painting. We see the world in a very unique way. Like you go to, say, Badami caves, or you go to Ajanta Ellora. The kind of colors that we use, the kind of drawings that how we represent people, how we tell stories.
is it more of regional sensibilities, or is it more of individual sensibilities? I know the individual sensibility also comes from the community you grow up, your environment.
In India, it is more community. Say individuals also matter, especially in photography. But like because your influences are that.
Yeah.
So now the thing is, the photographers, say Indian photographers, when they like, whom are you catering to? To use the word photographs, whom are you telling the stories for? Now my pictures are my audience. I do it primarily for myself and for Indians. In the sense, I put it online, I put it on Instagram, and since I don't have a commercial objective of, I don't want, my aim is not to get my pictures in a gallery anywhere, or in a newspaper like, say, New York Times, for example, because they pay money. So I don't have to cater to their sensibilities and their style guide. So photographers, when they tell the story, they tend to tell stories which are kind of for a Western audience. Whom are you telling your stories for? So like for example, Indians are, I mean, India is a vast country, so there's not just one India, there are like multiple Indias. So like, but Bangladesh, which is more kind of which is homogeneous, for example, have a richer photography culture than India. Or Bengali, I mean, even if you can include Calcutta also to it, because like the Chobi, I mean, they made that a word. They made
Yes.
that a thing because they have developed their own style of colors and style of storytelling, which the world, they created an event for that and stuff like that, and they defined themselves. Like the Japanese have their very unique style. Japanese photography and stuff have their very unique kind of photograph. The Congolese, I mean the Congo Valley or the river valley, they have their own style of telling stories and colors and music and everything. Whereas India as a whole, we have uh, we have multiple things, but nothing that is truly defined. Even movies, we have multiple.
Right.
So which is kind of confusing. Like if you look at what is an Indian style, we do not really have an Indian style of photography. It all depends on regional things because we are regional
In many ways.
in many ways.
This has been one of the most insightful and enriching conversations. I don't know how to wrap up this conversation, except the fact that I really want to do a full-fledged podcast with you. But Gopal, thank you so much for taking time out to share. I think what really affected me in a positive way was through the stories you tell through Mumbai Post and your blog, the Substack. And guys, you must check this out because I think we have one of the most insightful and powerful storytellers of our times, Gopal, aka Mumbai Post, aka Slogan Murugan, and I'm hoping many more to come. And I want to just wrap up this episode by saying that it's the beginning. Uh, and I always say this, that stories are important, stories are powerful, stories are personal. And the most important story is the one we tell ourselves. And on that note, Gopal, thank you for your time. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy.